So in five, four, three, two. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Corner Flag Talk. My name is Brandon. John is not here for, very good reasons. John is celebrating his honeymoon with his newly wedded wife. And again, we want to, wish John a very happy, honeymoon. It's one of the few times that John is not on the pod. I think there have only been like twice John has not been on the pod. And to celebrate this moment with me of John not being here, I have Tequil. Tequil, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, and congratulations again, John. Whenever you see this,
And also in the celebration party, I have Virgil with me. Virg, how are you?
So yeah, that's all I had to know right now. John will be listening to this podcast with his toes out on the beach, enjoying himself.
Oh my God, we really do wish him all the best, and also we wanted to wish his wife a happy birthday as well. They're also celebrating her birthday while she is there. So we just want to say that. And somebody else who is doing a lot of celebrating this week. But Virgil said something right before we started the pod, and I know that you all feel the same way. And it's just that this weekend has felt so boring when it comes to every game apart from the first game of the weekend. Like apart from that, everything has been very dreary. It's been one of those weeks where, we thought Arsenal were gonna go all the way ahead. And it just got a little bit more edge. But no better place to start than the Manchester Derby. So the Kiel are gonna start off with you because there's been a lot of stuff going on with Man United in the past weeks. You'll have sacked a manager, you'll have gotten a new manager, a new interim manager, then another interim manager. You've changed the entire formation, and unfortunately, Virg had to be on the receiving end of this new manager bounce. So I'm not gonna ask you everything, but just give me an idea of how this one game feels going from Amarim to Carrick. Just explain that to me.
it feels like a weight off of your shoulder. Like you stress all the time, and then you realize like you get this breakthrough, and then you just sort of feel light, like you're seeing the flowers blooming, you hear birds chirping. It's like everything is significantly better because it's like club used to feel so heavy with Amarim, regardless if we get results or not. It just used to feel heavy. Now he's gone. I don't know. It just feels different. And something I mean, we were getting to it a little bit deeper, but I was talking to somebody, I was like, I don't even think that these players like were down in tools for Amarim. I think they were genuinely trying. But the system is so bad, it's hard to execute. But you show them something simple and you platform your players properly, and I was able to have that level of performance, a performance we probably haven't seen in years, probably since Ten Hag.
Okay, but do you not also think like there's so many changes that happen in game? Which I'll get to you just now because I want to get to you everything about City because there's a lot to talk about just from this one game, and this was also the most exciting game. It's the best place to start. But one of the main things was seeing Bruno back in his best position, and I think everybody and the other thing was Kobe Minu coming into the team and playing exceptionally well, and it just felt like a totally different shift of not only the formation and the tactics, but just the whole style of play in terms of you was able to sustain the pressure of attack for longer periods of time. And what do you think about that? Like, what do you think has changed in such a short period of time that the players just going from what they were before to now?
Yeah, like I said, I think a big thing, I mean, in 3 days, I can't implement any
3 days,
tactical.
exactly. That's a big thing too, right?
Yeah, he can't implement no tactical system to say like um, I wouldn't say tactically dominated City. I just think he platformed the players in such a way that they were able to execute at a high level. You put them in the best positions to be able to execute at a high level. Bruno is back in the 10. We all know Bruno is probably one of the best creators in the world, if not the greatest creator, depending on who you ask, right? Bruno collecting the ball from that midfield. Again, Minu come back in midfield. We know what Minu is. Minu is a connector. He links the defense, he links the attack. He get the ball, turn, and drive with the ball. Casemiro, all he really had to do, once he had some assistance, because he was getting assistance from the wingers checking back and helping the fullback, all he has to do is break up play, and give somebody else. I think the biggest thing that Carrick did was platforming the players in such a way so that they're able to execute. Bruno had one of the best games he's had in a very long time, and I think that's mainly because he was limited. He literally behind three other players. He was playing in a pivot where he always had a run back. He always have to be back and forth. He's not able to create the level that he was able to do and execute in such a big game, especially Carrick now coming in. This Carrick's first game, like the performance was perfect on but for Dalo, but we ain't gonna talk about him.
Well, I mean, bro, I agree with a lot of what you said, and it just shows how much like the coach really does have an impact, and I think like, in his final moments, he blamed the everybody above him. And
Yeah.
I think like with just this one game, and I mean obviously it could change, right? The next few games you could lose all five, you're playing Arsenal next. So it could all end right there. But it just shows why how much the coach really has an effect on the team. And Virg, this is where I want to like, pivot to you, because my question now is like, what is it like? What is the effect that Pep is having currently at his team? And I don't know if anybody else believes it, but I think people have been saying a lot of things about Pep post post the game. I mean, like one of Carrick's records is against Pep. For some miraculous reason, he has never lost to Pep, which is kind
Yeah.
of it's kind of
Mhm.
crazy, you know. And like it, uh, what do you think about some of Pep's decisions, Wood? Because I find like some of the decisions to leave out certain players and incorporating Semenyo into the team immediately, I don't think was a bad idea. But for some of the other players, like, and some of these timing of the substitutions and things, like, how did you view the game, and like how you viewed it, like in terms of Pep's decision?
Firstly, just to speak of the game, just honestly, from just seeing the lineup and then just seeing the performance, everything just felt disappointing. It just felt that how they didn't really reach that level that you would expect in any rivalry like this. That I tell you, I felt like I saw more passion in the way time derby. I felt like there was a lot more, and this just felt like they went out and a lot of players wouldn't necessarily play in the occasion. They just felt like it felt like there are a lot of mistakes, a lot of lazy performances. And you can look at that and say that how yeah the players were tired. Those are also Pep comments too throughout weekly. He mentioned that how not only the injuries, but we have players who have been playing a lot and they're tired because we had players who left for Africa and players who came back from injury and wasn't up to speed. But when you hear Pep say those things and then you see that lineup against United, it just sounds like he's contradicting himself. Because you would mention this. Why do we have Ake, a man who for every 10 minutes you're seeing him gripping his hamstring and he cannot keep up with the pace? They have a speedy man on top in Mbuemo. They have Dogu as well there, and he's basically they could basically attack Ake however they would want to. And you play those type of players who also tired, but you leave it, but you have two left backs on the bench. You have two left backs. It have players who could there, and it felt like I mentioned too, even with the time with the subs as well. It felt very late, and you're seeing that even down to Rodri, there are people hyping up Rodri and saying those things, but we know he needs time. He needs time. Rodri was looking, Rodri was looking like he was offered that game, and in moments like that, when you can recognize that, it's to pull those type of players, and we had those options on the bench. I just felt like I don't know. Pep is somebody who is very stubborn in his ways, and in moments like this, I feel like you need to put that aside because yes, you can talk about the performances. I felt like you can look on both sides. Players' performances just terrible. Pep's tactics was just off it. Because if you have a lineup there and you look at the team where you have five homegrown players, five homegrown City fans, and nobody really showed any fight. I feel like you can look at from all angles, and I feel like everybody's to blame for that terrible performance.
So one of the decisions that Pep made in the game was, starting Foden and then taking him off. right? And he was chasing the game for the majority of the game. And um, I I really want to know, boy, like how you feeling about like some of his performances, right? Because how he was so good at one point during the season, but ever since then, like I feel like there's been there's been more said about Haaland throughout the entire season than it has been about players like Foden. Like I think Cherky has done more than enough, to not be criticized, apart from running his mouth and then getting shredded for the second goal. But I mean, apart from that, right? Like, I've like how you feeling about Foden right now, bro? Like, I mean, I don't think there's much to say about Haaland. There isn't much to say about Rodri, right? But like in terms of other players, like what are you thinking about Foden right now? Like I just not feeling the vibe right now, for lack of a better.
Yeah, tell about it. Well, obviously, the thought process after the game was a lot more harsher compared to like now. But the thing that still stands is that Foden, watching Foden sometimes on the pitch, he feels like he is not impacting the game. Like he literally feel like he brings nothing to some games. It's like in that game, like even down to being harsh too, it felt like Foden and Haaland both were like passengers in this entire game. So it's one thing when you see the performances, but then when you have a actual number 10 like a Maverick on the bench and he keeping out Cherky, you felt that okay, well, yeah, we know Foden have those moments, but you're expecting you're expecting a main man performance from a squad player. It seems like that. It seems that obviously how we know Foden is and how influential he is for the club, but in certain moments you feel that you expect a lot more from him, and in moments like this, I feel like right now you're not really warranted anything to say that you should be a starter ahead of even some of these other players. Because and even for what you're saying there, you can say that for a lot of other players who did start that game. But I feel like the criticism will be more on Foden because see there time and time again you're looking at him to be the main man, and I feel like sometimes you might have to realize where if you're seeing performances like this from other people around who doing this in a shorter space of time, you kind of have to, your place kind of be guaranteed, honestly, this team.
Yeah, and especially when like Haaland getting marked out of the game by players who who just like you don't expect these types of games from them at this point in the season. And when like they isolating Haaland and taking him out of the game, you're expecting players like Foden to really step up and take the game. And I feel like this is a criticism I've had of Foden for like a lot of his career, apart from the one season where he was player of the year. But I don't know, boy. I feel like it's just real hard to watch sometimes. But I can't believe Pep Pep benched Turkey to play Foden. I think that was where all the lost the game in over. To be honest, I think he should have
Yeah.
started Turkey, and not that I think he should have not start Foden, but he definitely had to start Turkey. I thought like that was bang on. But Dicky, I want to ask you something now. Moving on, like before we move on from the whole derby and everything, like you know, talking about Haaland and his isolation, like Lissandro, I thought was one of the best players on the pitch on that day, and it's very possible that he will become a player for the rest of the season, where you'll be trying to make the best of it under Carrick. So, which players are you looking at to see how their performances may change, where y'all could be actually reaching your goals towards the end of the season? Which players you're looking at most?
If I'm being honest with you, I really want to see how Sesko plays with Carrick because one thing I've noticed, I mean, at least since I'm gone, we've been crossing way more than I've seen since we bought this man. This man is an absolute unit. And I find we're not using him to his best ability. Yes, there are things he could be better at, obviously, but a man at that size with that pace, I think certain things should be obvious. Swinging the ball into the box and just putting it in there and letting him try to get onto it to score a goal. I think it's something that I really want to see. I really want to see Sesko. And to be honest, Mainu, because I mean he's been basically locked out of playing because Amorim never saw him as a 10, and Amorim did not want to play him next to Casemiro because he basically forcing Bruno back, which leaves no space for Mane to play in the team. Now that he has an opportunity in a pivot with Casemiro, and now that Bruno is pushed more forward, we're actually going to see the best of Manu. I think even in the games where Amorim, where he would have brought him on, Manu looked a bit stifled. He couldn't do the things that you're accustomed to seeing Manu do. And I want to believe that now that Carrick is here, Carrick who actually spoke about Manu beforehand, stating he should be the center of the club. And that's way before conversations about Carrick being interim or anything about United. I think it was an interview with Rio where he was speaking about Manu as like, hey, that he is the future of this club. So I could only hope that Carrick is going to lean into him and being a very important member for the rest of the season. And personally, I'd also say Licha because, I mean, Lisandro Martinez to me is one of our best players, and he was missed for the entirety of the time that he was injured. Now, he did come back a bit rusty, and I'm going to lie to you, it has certain instances where he could definitely be better. But it's moments like this where you need players that play the way he does to show up, and that's absolutely what he did. I think I saw a stat where in about 7 or 8 games that Haaland played with Martinez and the team, he wasn't able to score. And that goes to show, like, he's not a pushover. He's not a pushover anyway. How Scholes and Nicky Butt was talking about him. Or just put him on the back and carry him. Like, no, Licha he's a good defender. Yes, he has his limitations, and yes, he's not tall. But there's way more things than just being tall that allow you to be a quality player or defender in the league. Like, there was the instance where I think a ball was coming down, and it was him, it was Lisandro Martinez and Haaland backing into him, and he just still win the ball because it's much more than just being tall, being big. It's about anticipation, about a lot of different things. So for me, those players I think would do a lot better on that Carrick, and I really hope they're able to push on and show something different in the latter for this season.
Well, one thing to I want to add with Carrick, and one thing that kind of to mirror my point. I felt like Carrick seemed we know the history Carrick have with the club and everything. I feel like Carrick is that direct line from fan to club. And I feel like how they were playing and how like the way the formation was, because I feel like so long
Yeah,
in
because they didn't have that with Amorim at all.
yeah, because we know he was viewing
Understand,
as he was viewed his way and whatever. He obviously we could sit down and talk about small thing about the identity of the club. We know Carrick bringing that from the time you see that formation. Then the first thing I saw when I see formation, and I just see even how big it is to have Kobe start, right? I was like, that's somebody who actually feel like he opened his phone and just like listen to like look at the fans and be like, this is the team that the fans want to see. I feel like that one thing I could applaud Carrick with.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that point you make there, boy. I feel like, as I say, the coach is such an important aspect of Manchester United specifically. Like there has to be that type of connection, almost like I would want perfect is not the word, but it's almost like a harmonious relationship. And whenever there's no harmony there, that's when United always seem to be, and I feel like Carrick, like in the situation that you're in the Kiel, I feel like there is no negative that you could really put on him because we already know that he's not going to be here at the end of the season. So everybody is just like, this is what we're in for the rest of the season. This is a comfortable situation for everybody here. Let's try and make the best of it. Because that's how I see it. That's what I see it as. And I just feel like the environment being more comfortable was conducive to everything that happened in the game.
100%. But I mean, I would have told you before, and I'll say it now. This feels eerily familiar.
Yes, it does.
Really familiar. I feel like if I went down this way before, I remember distinctly a certain manager who was a fan slash player of the club before and came in as an interim initially and blitzed the first game. That game was 5-0 against Cardiff. This game was 2-0. It just feels eerily familiar. And all I really want to ask as a United fan, just make the right decision. If that ends up being Carrick, so be it. But I don't want it to be an emotional decision where just because he was able to ride the way to the end of the season and do well and get him in a position, that means he automatically earns the right to be Manchester United manager. Let's take some stock and let's make a proper decision. If that decision ends up being correct, fine. But I don't want it to be an emotional decision like they just decided, hey, the fans really like this guy. Let's put him in. And then it goes back down. It feels, I keep on saying it this exactly for a reason. It feels eerily familiar. This feeling feels very familiar.
Verge, before we move on, you think the title gone there, or you still have hope?
Honestly, after the Arsenal game when we get into it, I feel like I seen hope because I feel like if certain teams, I feel like if teams like Forest could figure that out, I feel like other teams could figure out the same way how to play Arsenal.
We're gonna move into that, but before we do, because I have 9 games and we're recording on the ninth game. After the ninth game, we have to pick 3 players from this United City game. So before we move on, who would you all like to select as the 3 candidates for the team of the week from the Manchester Derby?
I would say Martinez. I would say Nbuemo.
Ooh.
And I would say Yarge Shota. I honestly find Dogu had a real good game.
Ooh, this is gonna be interesting.
I feel like he had a real good game.
Okay, so I'll give mine, and then Nikhil, you'll give yours because I feel like we're gonna have a lot of differences. So
Yeah.
I would definitely put Bruno in because I thought Bruno was excellent. I thought he was like incredible. I can't even lie to you. I thought he was incredible. I also want to put Mainu in there. I thought he was also really good. I still can't get over that shake he did to Semenyo in the middle of the field. It was that was so lovely. And I also want to give Mbeumo a little bit of love, man. I thought he was pretty good too. So I mean that would be my 3. I mean there's other players that coming down the line that we could pick from, but I just think I think for sure that was definitely those 3. So the Nikhil, yeah, I feel we have a tiebreaker here.
I think Lisandro Martinez needs a shout. I think Bruno Fernandez absolutely has to be inside of it. And funny enough, I go on the other side. I'd say Diallo. I really find Diallo had a wonderful game. I find he was peppering on our right hand side. He just had men on strings, just running at them. So I'd put Diallo in there.
You know what, Nikhil? Just because it's you, and because you are the Man U fan, I'm going to go with your decision this time to make split the tie because we will have to go over it again. But I'm going to take Ahmad. So you're going to take Licha, Bruno, and Ahmad from this game.
Yeah,
I feel like
I like the Ahmad shout.
Yeah, I like the Ahmad as well. I thought so many of the players were so good. I think Casemiro was really good as well, but Casemiro has low-key been having a very good season, and people just don't like to talk about it because the football left him, So there's always that. But from the Manchester Derby, we're gonna go in to the title favourites, who have moved 1 point further away from the chasing pack this weekend. And even though they went to Nottingham Forest and they drew 0-0, no goals. The game was actually quite good though. There were so many chances. So for both teams, I think Arsenal had a lot of chances, and we're gonna get into a lot of these things. And before I start on this, fellas, I'm gonna be totally transparent. John sent me a voice note before, so I know all his thoughts about the Arsenal game, and I want to tell you, every week you learn something new. Every day you learn something new, right? And after that voice note with John, I learned something that I never knew existed. And you're not gonna believe it. It's not gonna be Arteta tactics. It's not gonna be Noni Madueke's goals in the Premier League this season. I learned for the first time, fellas, that there are people who are Gyökeres stands. I was absolutely dumbfounded when I heard that there are people who stand Victor Gyökeres. I could not believe. I just, after watching the game people were saying things like, "Oh, Saka doesn't pass to Gyökeres. That's why Gyökeres isn't scoring goals and things like that." Well, Saka
Yeah.
wasn't on the pitch. Saka wasn't on the pitch. Saka also was not on the pitch when Gyökeres was running in behind to potentially score.
Yep.
And like it's just like I can't believe there are people who are really standing this guy. Like I don't know, maybe I'm missing something because I thought he was very poor again. I think he's been one of the worst signings of the season. Like I'm not being funny or anything. I actually think he's been one of the worst signings of the season because I think he's so poor. I saw that there. I think he has more. He has over 10 games with zero shots on goal. Like that is something that's ridiculous for a striker of his fame and everything to come in and be playing like this. But at the same time, the Arsenal they continue to show that they have the best defense in the league. And I just think that is continuing to carry them forward. Like teams just can't break them down. And but on the other side of the pitch, boy, I feel like it's not even like I don't even want to criticize like players like Trossard and players like Saka and stuff like that. But like when it comes to those other players, boy, I feel like there's something missing all the time. And I just don't know where it is. So Virg, I want to ask you, like, how you feel about that? Like, you felt anything about the Arsenal game? And I know they moved a point further away, but like, what, like, I know you said you're seeing things, but where are those things coming from? Because I know it can't be from the defense.
Yeah, because in that moment, in that from just watching that game, just as you mentioned to it with your I felt like we give a lot of praise to the attack and from weeks before and everything. We see like Madueke stepped in, Saka was able to get some rest, but it has some moments where you feel like if it not working for Arsenal, it definitely not working because I felt like more and more you see them attack, it just seemed like the chances of a goal scoring just becoming less and less and less from that game. You also have to give a lot of credit to for Forest as well because I felt like Forest were quick to break up play and they were not backing off. They were stepping onto the Arsenal players anytime they were getting close to their goal. So you got to give a lot of credit to Forest, but a lot of teams similar to that they will learn from that and learn that this physicality just being in your face all the time. It does give a little, it does trouble Arsenal. And you felt that Arsenal's only saving grace felt that if they were able to manage and get a corner and the usual set piece, that felt like that's where it's come from. And in certain games like this, you can't rely on that. There was no more motivation you need than the first game for the week. You saw your main title rivals drop points. And then going into this game now, it was there that all you had to do. You already had everything. You already see how it play out. And yeah, I just felt that attack sometimes for Arsenal just seems that it. I can't even say they're missing something. It just seems that when they're not firing, they're not firing at all. It seems that they could play another 90 minutes and they're not going to score. They're not going to score.
Yeah, I think it summed it up really well there. Like I think what you said there is that I think I said the wrong word. I don't think is that they're missing something. I think that they are missing. Like they just keep
Yeah,
missing. Like they're not scoring. I mean, there was also the save that Sells pulled out of a
yeah.
Saka header that was excellent. So apart from all of those things, right? I just don't understand it, boy. Like it's something that's so interesting. But Dickie, you all are playing them next week, and I believe you all are playing them in the Emirates.
Here we are.
I think as far as I can remember, they have the best home record in the league. And what what are you worried about? Because you're facing them, right? So as United going into the Arsenal game, what are you worried about from them from an attacking point of view? Like outside of Saka and let's say Trossard, because I think Trossard has been one of the best players in the league for this season. But outside of that, like what you're worrying about? I mean, I don't think I also think before I pass it on to you, I think Rice had a poor game, one of his poorest games of the season. Zubomendi probably also did, and it's kind of like a lot of the players didn't have a very good game, but it was kind of symptomatic of the weekend as well. But yeah, what you worried about from Arsenal going into that game next week, Vicky?
If I'm being honest with you, I'm not scared of Arsenal. at least right now, I'm just not scared of Arsenal. Yes, Arsenal is the best team in the league right now, and they keep on churning out performances, and they are very hard to beat. But of late, that seems like that's all they are. They're hard to beat. They don't feel like if they have the team to actually kill teams. And knowing what I know from Carrick going into that game, we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to sit back behind the ball. We're going to let all the play in front of us, get bodies behind the ball, and then hit you on the counter. And hopefully that works. So to say I'm absolutely terrified of uh, what Arsenal is going to do to us in our attacking sense, I can't say that I'm scared. Do I think Arsenal is going to win? Yes, I genuinely do think Arsenal is going to win the game. But to say that I am concerned that this player might tear us, like rip us a new one, or I'm scared that this player is going to I'm just not. And to me, that's kind of asymptomatic of Arteta. And based on what your original point was, right? I think Arteta has been playing scared for weeks. He's been playing scared as a manager for weeks. And I think that's seeping into the way Arsenal is actually attacking on the pitch. They play not to lose these games because they're scared like all these drop points would catch them up later, because that's what happened to them a couple of years ago, and they was way ahead and City come and catch them back. So as Arsenal is playing this kind of attritional football where you get one goal, you lock up shop. You try to get off a set piece. You basically, but now it's like they've been doing that for so long. It's actually hard to find ways to create now and actually break down things like how you would expect a team of that quality to do. So to your original question, I really do think I'm not scared. Um, I actually think we get results. When no, I do think Arsenal is going to win, but I think if we execute properly, we could get results.
So, Dikit, I just want to clarify something, right? What you said before is that you're more concerned not about the fact that they're not losing games, but the fact that they're not able to kill off teams when they
They're not
need
able
to.
to. No,
Right.
yes, you know most likely Arsenal is not going to lose the game because our defense is going to keep a clean sheet. But do they capitalize on that? Do they go and score the goals to actually win? And it's
Mhm.
been weeks now, and you can't pinpoint a player and say, hey, this player is going to win us the game today. It's very hard to do that with Arsenal.
Yeah, but I feel like the story of the season for Arsenal is a lot of wasted chances. But like even I know they beat us in the cup recently, but I felt like they could have easily scored five. And I just like sometimes I wish that they do, because it's so few and far between despite them creating so many chances in the game. But one of the reasons they didn't create so many chances in the game is a player I just want to talk about for a few seconds, and then I'll leave it open to you all to talk about him after, because I feel like you all have opinions on him too. I just felt like watching the game, Elliot Anderson again just proves that he is one of the best English midfielders in the league. Like I think in during the game between against Zubimendi, Rice, and Odegaard, I thought he was exceptional. He bodied Odegaard off the ball like multiple times, and I just think like boy, he is so coded for a move, and it doesn't have to be with any prem. I think at some point, I'm not gonna put my neck out and say it, but I think after the World Cup, I think he's in line for a big move, boy. And I don't know how y'all feel about him, but I just think he's been really good this season, and I think like that he's gonna be a huge move for somebody in the summer. He could stay at Forest too, it's possible. But what do y'all think about him? Like, oh shit, what happened to Bridge?
Yeah, I was leaving
Oh
it so
my
you
god, what
were
happened to Virgil?
but they came to the boss too.
Uh, yeah, what do you think about Elliot Anderson, the kid?
So I think I'm going to come from a unique perspective because I genuinely did not see it. So there was a lot of hype with him at the start of the season. I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? Who, like, what's this next fab player
Now,
that you're
now,
just,
I don't know if you remember this, Ezekiel, but he was my flop of the season last year. Like I predicted him to be flop of the season last year, and this guy, like, but continue, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, it's like, I didn't see it before because I was like, every year we just find a player that we want to hype up to be the next or this elite or something to platform them to be a humongous player, right? But I decided, hey, let me just watch football, just watch him play. And it's like, Rudy Man is actually everywhere. And he does everything you expect of the type of player he is, a defensive midfielder. He does everything you expect him to do. And from that Arsenal game, I'm like, yeah, I could see why, because United was linked to him. I was like, yeah, we just linked to everybody. But I see it now. I'm like, if he could go there, what play against Arsenal, Declan Rice in midfield, Zubimendi in midfield, Odegaard in midfield, and play the way he played. Like if like you're not gonna big boy me. I'm here too. I am a player and I'm going to impact this game. And he just showed that he's actually a player that I second your point. He's probably going to get a move. Where to? I don't know. But I'm not gonna lie, I would not mind him at Manchester United.
Bro, I wouldn't mind him at Chelsea. Like, I think he's really good. I mean, if we didn't
I
have Caicedo, I think we would have been definitely in for him. But
yeah,
and the reason I bring him up is because I wanted to put him. I don't know where Verge is and if he's coming back. But
yeah.
we're gonna make a educated guess for him. I wanted to put forward Elliot Anderson for the player from this game, to put into the team maybe because I just thought he was excellent, boy. And I know, and you saw that I said it before the game that it's the three of them versus Elliot Anderson against the world, and I
Yeah.
just boy, it was really good. I mean, the fact that they drew the game, he was a big reason for them keeping the clean sheet outside of Arsenal being terrible at taking their chances. So I
Mm-hmm.
can't give it to Arsenal attacker, right? Because they didn't score. And
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't really think, they had much to do going in the next direction. So I don't think Gabriel and Saliba had that much to do, but I Anderson I thought was just exceptional. If you have
No,
anybody
I
else you
think
want to put forward, you could.
absolutely not. I want Elliot Anderson in that team.
Nice. So we have Bruno and Elliot Anderson in the field so far. And then we have Licha in the back and we have Ahmad. So moving on to Chelsea. We're not gonna spend a lot of time on Chelsea to be honest. But Nikhil, I want to ask you because I want to know from your perspective because I
Yeah.
know you and I have talked about it in different but in different aspects. But there's been a lot of things coming out about Rosenior and things that he said, things that aren't true. Like, he asking us to play with Legos and stuff. Very, very hilarious stories. Um, but against Brentford, we went out, we played. Palmer got himself on the score sheet. João
Mm-hmm.
Pedro scoring a goal. The world is going to end, everybody. He took a first time shot and roofed it. What a
Yeah.
finish. But that's not something I see very often, unfortunately. But what are you thinking about when it comes to Rosenior? Because some of my thoughts on it, but like, what are you expecting from him? And like, where do you think Chelsea are going to finish at the end of the season?
Oh, that's such a. I feel like that's such a very difficult question to answer because to me, taking him from where he was is almost like Rosenior to me kind of have a free hit because nobody is expecting him to do well. And even if he does bad, it's like, yeah, you know, coming halfway through the season, we didn't, nobody had real expectations for him. So I think he is, whatever he does till the end of the season is okay. I'm not going to say that it's going to be fine because obviously if you're going to losing around, nobody's going to like that. But it's not going to be the end of the way because people understand he's still very young. He's still young in his own career. And coming to Chelsea, especially in the way that Maresca left, is like probably a little bit contentious in and around Chelsea right now. So it's a very difficult job that he's taking over. And I think that's a part to play in like all these quotes and things that are coming up a little bit gimmicky. I feel like he's trying to sell himself to say, hey, I can be the man to take over and do well. But I think Chelsea, I, I really don't know. I really don't know what to expect because even in that game,
Well, yeah, that's at the
um,
start of the season.
I do not remember my prediction, but I definitely think it was easily top five, top six,
How you think about
easily.
that now? How you think about that now, given everything?
I still think that that could be accomplished, but I do not know if that's directly because of him or because of the teams in and around faltering, and he ends up staying where he is. I do
Hmm.
not know
Okay,
if
okay,
that actually is the either.
okay. Because well, I mean, I obviously watched the game, and
Yeah.
I thought we played okay.
Hmm.
We played well at points during the game, but I think that Brentford were on top of us for a lot of the game.
Yeah.
Um, and I want to shout out one player, which I'm gonna put forward for the team of the week as well. It's just might be shocking to you, but I want to put forward Robert Sanchez. Oh my God, I never thought I would say that in my life. I want to put Robert Sanchez forward because he single-handedly kept us in the game. There was a one-on-one
Starter.
save he
That
made with
save
Shadow.
starter. My
That
goodness.
save was incredible.
Jump
That I
forward.
think that kept us in the game. If that went in, I think the whole game totally changes. And I feel like for him, I think he's. If you ask any Chelsea fan this season, they will tell you that Sanchez has been arguably one of our best players, if not our best player, because
Hmm.
the season has been very strange. And I think Sanchez has improved a lot from last season to now. And I seen
Yeah.
a lot of people, going jumping back on him after the Arsenal game or whatever, and that was actually his worst performance of the season. I actually think it's worse than the Manchester United one um because he got sent off like so early in the game. Like, there wasn't anything that he could have done after that. So I mean, I think for me, Sanchez was probably the best player on the pitch that day. Virgil, came back, but we got through the Arsenal stuff, and
Mm.
we on to Chelsea now. So I'll ask you as you came back. So we were just talking about Chelsea. So I know I asked you this before, so I'm not going to ask it again about the expectations for Chelsea. But is there any players that you think that you're looking at for under Rosenior? Like, do you think any of them will improve? Do you think any of them will not be better? You think there's like things that will happen in the squad that are not good for some of the players? Like, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I feel I still don't really have much information yet on like respect to like him because he's not really a coach I'm familiar with and familiar with like how he plays. I just felt like looking at a lot of players and how the season was going for them, like mainly players like talking like Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez. I feel like they were having strong seasons, and I feel like the main expectation hope that under him they could continue. And I feel like Palmer coming back into it is a big thing. And I feel like once he's able to still implement how he wants to play, while also having these players continue to strive. Because even because before with this whole scene had been overshadowed with the way that Maresca left and everything, I don't really find some of these players were playing that bad, honestly, for Chelsea. I felt like they were looking good under Maresca. So the only thing that you wouldn't want is this new manager come in and then try to do something totally different middle of the season that caused the team to kind of collapse. So I feel like really just the same players that have been forming. I feel like the main highlights is for them to really just continue how they played.
Well, I'm gonna pull this up because this is this is Chelsea's next 5 games. I'm gonna ask you. This is 5 games in the league, right? I'm gonna
Yeah.
ask you, and I want you to tell me what you think. So it's Crystal Palace, at Palace. Then we play West Ham at home. Then we play Wolves. Then we play Leeds at home, and then we play Burnley. So that's our next 5 games.
Okay.
What do y'all think? How much points y'all think Chelsea getting in that 5 games?
I feel like for any new manager coming in and seeing seeing that fixtures, I feel like that is something that you'll see as a positive sign. And just want to say without trying to read too much into it, I honestly feel Chelsea could leave that with at least 4 wins.
Owens, what do you think? What do you thinking? Nikhil?
Um. Hmm. I was thinking more eight. The reason why I said that is because, again, like what you have mentioned, but for Robert Sanchez having a monster game, Brentford definitely was getting at you for large stints in the game. And I think the teams that you would have called, I don't see them being scared of Chelsea, but I think like why would we be scared? Brentford was going at them, and they, if it wasn't for the mistake that was made on the other end for the penalty, I think that should be momentum. But I do see why Crystal Palace. I do see why. Yes, they are struggling. These teams are struggling, but I do see why they can't go at Chelsea and say, "Hey, we could get a point here. Hey, we could take a win here and nick something." I do see why that's not a possibility.
Well, I'm going to be like the biggest Chelsea fan in the world. I think we could get 5 wins out of five, though. 15 points out of the next 15. I think we could possibly do that. We still wouldn't be able to pass Arsenal. They lost 5 games in a row. We couldn't do that.
But no, but
That
just going back to before, I feel like it's one thing this new manager have to figure out. He have to figure out how to get the best out of Garnacho. Because this man, 1 minute
Impossible.
we
let,
played.
let me tell you how to get the best out of Garnacho, bro. Bring him off the bench. That's the best way to
Dog.
get the best out of Garnacho.
Garnacho is just be 1 minute you'll see him playing so good in what the Carabao Cup. Next minute he's just looking terrible in this game.
Welcome.
The- Dog, I don't think I've ever seen, and I can't remember Garnacho having 2 good games in a row. Like it's so he's that inconsistent. Like, I can't remember 2 good games in a row.
Feel vindicated.
I know you do. Okay, so we got to move on from Chelsea. Do you all agree on Sanchez going into the team?
Oh
Again, a
yeah,
keeper is
yeah,
actually
yeah,
very
yeah.
important. So
Sanchez,
I
yeah,
feel
Sanchez.
like that's good. Okay. We're gonna move on to Liverpool now, who actually drew to Burnley this week at home at Anfield. If you all don't know, this is the first time in Premier League history that the champions did not win any of the games at home against the promoted sides ever. Like this has never
Wow.
happened. So, I think all of them were draws, I believe, against Leeds, Burnley, and Sunderland, I believe. So yeah, boy. Liverpool have been in a big unbeaten run, but it's been like the most fugazi um run in the world. Like we have just been drawing a lot of games. Do you? So I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on Liverpool because I feel like we've said enough about them for the season, and we can't go back into those things. So I was gonna ask you all very bluntly. Do you all think that Slot will see out the season?
I do.
So,
You
yeah.
do,
See out this season. If you give
yeah,
me the
and,
margin next, that's a different question.
yeah. So you think he'll be here till the end of the season?
I think he stays until the end of the season.
I honestly feel it's leaning more towards he might go before the season finish
Okay,
because
because
I feel like there's so much
yeah,
things up ahead where the way how Liverpool fans are right now, they viewing everything around them and saying that, hey, we seen our teams doing this, why look at get rid of this man? And any little thing that happen, I feel like we similar to the Travis situation. It's a lot of landmines there. One little
yeah,
misstep.
they do have Salah coming back, and I mean that might be able to give them a lift. I mean like it's Salah at the end of the day, so there's always a chance that he could come back and he could be good. But I think that makes it even harder for Slot. Like I don't know how
Mm-hmm.
you all feel about that, but I think that makes it even harder for him because now he has to integrate this player that they've had this big rift with. This happened this season. Like this season has been so long. Like that all has happened already this season. Coming back from AFCON, Salah was not playing well prior to him leaving to AFCON to go to AFCON. So, like, what do you think about that? Do you think it'll be harder for him with Salah coming back, or do you think it'll be easier for him in terms of the games they're gonna play? I think they will actually be able to win the games if Salah gonna make a big difference, or if him not making a difference will make it worse.
Yeah, Salah come back going to make it difficult because there were points in time where when the rift started, they said even before the rift said Salah was the problem. Then Salah came out, and then they realized, okay, well Salah's not the problem, and then Salah left, and now they're saying, okay, well we can't really fire because we don't have Salah. Salah comes back in now, and if results are becoming terrible, they're going to look away. They're going to turn the attention from the players and just put all the frustration on the manager because in all those different situations, all different changes, the only common denominator is slot.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a problem because, I mean, if but just for the tension, like he's going to be coming back and everybody's just going to be walking around eggshells because they know there's a big problem. So everybody's just going to be around the club, just going to like, okay, so how do we navigate around? Yeah, it's easy for Slot to just bench him over the cases, but let's be real here. All these players, they pick sides. They either prefer the manager, they either prefer Salah. They agree with what he said. They disagree with this one say. And I think that will create a whole bundle of tension in and around the club, making it worse in general, whether it be on the pitch or not.
Yeah, boy. I kind of worry. I worried for Slaughter, and I mean, like, he's not doing himself any good, like any favors or anything like that. But I just feel like I'm very worried, boy. And based on everything I've seen for the season, I don't think it's far fetched at this point. Like, I never thought I'd see Salah come out and like do what he did. So at this point, I just don't. I don't think it's off the table. If you know what I mean. I just think it's more possible than people would think. Is there anybody you would like to pick out from this game? I thought this game wasn't that great, to be honest. As most of them have been, to be honest. So yeah, anybody want to take a player from this game?
Yeah, I feel like you probably might had if you have to, probably had to give it the Woods.
I don't know if I want to. That's the next.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Nikhil, anything?
Kyrie. This
I'm
was
trying to
from
remember
Burnley.
I'm trying to remember who scored for Burnley.
This was from Burnley. I can't remember.
What was his name again? Oh yeah, Edwards. Yeah.
Marcus Edwards.
He was good.
Yeah, he could be our show.
If you want to, I guess, spread the wealth, you can definitely put Marcus Edwards. But
I feel like them going to Anfield and getting that point is good for them, and the fact that they still, even with Liverpool having with Gakpo, Soboslai, Gravenberch, Jones, Ekitike, I still think like it was pretty impressive from them. I will take the Marcus Edwards if you all go with it. I think that point is good, so we'll go with
that's fine, man.
Edwards. All right, we're going to speed through the rest of them because I know Dicky has to leave. So I'm going to try and get him out of here as soon as possible. Don't worry, Dicky, we get near the end time. Don't worry. Okay, so the next one we're going to move on to quickly is Villa, who lost today to Everton, a very spirited Everton performance, but also a terrible finishing display from Villa. I think Morgan Rogers could have easily scored 4 goals today. I think Villa were very wasteful. And again, they lose in any title race. I don't know if anybody really, still believes that they're in the title race. But anything I want to say quickly on Villa, on the loss?
Honestly, really, I feel like you expect it from Emery. 1 minute they'll look good, and then he'll find a way to kind of like.
Emery also came out and said that they're not and they're not even in the top 5 race at the moment. He actually said something crazy like that. I'd be misquoting him, but that's something what he said.
I mean, to go so far and say not in the top 5 race, I feel like if you're talking about title race, because even if it's mind games or not, I feel like nobody really viewed Villa as serious. Yeah.
Dicky, anything you want to say on Villa?
I feel like, I mean, that's kind of tantamount to Emery in general and all this stuff. They'll be very good and then they'll be bad. They'll be very good and then they'll be bad. I think it's just on that day, I guess, being a Villa fan.
Yeah, this is what he said. He said, we are still not contenders to be in the top 5. That's what he said. And that's what they said in the interview. So wow. I don't know where that coming out from. I don't know if the bro just salty. I don't know what is the real scene with that. But...
You know them Spaniards.
Yeah, true. Quickly, anyone you want to pick out anybody from this game? I mean, obviously, I want to talk about. I know who we're gonna pick. I just want to let you all know. We're picking James Garner. James Garner in FPL. If you had him in FPL, he had the most defensive contributions ever in the history of the Premier League since defensive contributions have been recorded. He had 29 today in the game. 29 defensive contributions. Wow. So I believe Garner has played right back before. So I'm gonna stick him at right back because we're gonna make it work somehow, right? Um,
No,
then I can't believe we actually have to move on to this one, but we have to move on to Spurs, and Spurs lost again. Another manager on sack watch. Do you all think Frank is gonna be sacked?
Yeah, it different now. My answer is no, because I feel like for Spurs, we look at other teams who doing it. If Spurs do it at this point, they're just really just trying to follow the trend. But this is somebody that you all really sit down and had some serious thought to put in charge, and it's something that they really had to just see out.
Okay.
yeah, I think they're going to ride should ride something. Um, but I don't know. Even in that, I don't think Thomas Frank's not. Tottenham should be doing way better than they are, like significantly better than they are, and for them to be looking so bad so often, and against the teams that they come up against is like, what is he missing? What is he not doing? What is
Yeah.
like, what is not working? Because
Yeah.
when they appointed him, it seemed like a good appointment based on
Hmm.
what you have done before. It seemed like a good appointment, but it has been quite the opposite.
I know we're not picking a Spurs player out of this, so I guess we're gonna have to pick. Uh, I don't even know what do we have. We have two midfield. We have one, two midfielders so far. Sorry, three midfielders, a right back, a centre back, a goalkeeper. Who would you like to take from this game? As I said, definitely not a Spurs player, please, and not Conor Gallagher. Proper check.
Ah, hmm.
I see Somerville. Well, Somerville actually scored.
Well, yeah,
So I mean, Wilson scored the winner. But I mean, I feel like Somerville. Any
yeah, yeah.
objections to the Somerville?
I feel
No
we got
problem.
something.
Ariola also made 5 saves. My goodness, but they already have Sanchez, so we're gonna give it for Somerville right now. A player who you know you're never going to see in this team very often because he's so. This is probably one of the few games that he actually played well in. Sunderland versus Crystal Palace. Um, I don't know if you all want to put anybody in particular in here. From Sunderland or versus Palace. Palace actually, by the way, before we move on, Palace have been absolutely ripped to shreds this season, losing Eze, losing Gehi. They look like well, they know they're losing Glasner at the end of the season. Mateta has a chance that he could leave before the end of the January window. Like I think it's just falling apart. Like the Palace is just crumbling in front of our eyes.
Yeah.
It's so crazy in that respect, right? I'm not gonna ask you anything, Virg. You are a beneficiary of this. I'm one of the great beneficiaries of this. So I don't give don't give a toss. Anybody else want to take out of Sunderland versus Crystal Palace? Enzo Lafie again scored. Brian Brobby scored again. Another
I
impactful
would
goal for them. Sunderland, I think, have the second best home record in the league. I think only they and Arsenal haven't lost a game at home this season, which is pretty impressive. Yeah.
yeah, I was definitely going to go Angelo. Let's see. I find that whole Sunderland midfield it's not engine more. Like they
Yeah. And Jaka just there,
just work. I love her Gwendo.
Yeah. Virgil,
Nah, yeah, I like that show. I like Liffy.
um, Leeds versus Fulham. Um, Leeds coming out with another win. Leeds are just slowly moving themselves up the table ever since that City game, and they've been playing so well ever since. Um, well, I mean, and Fulham have now snapped an insane streak that they've been on. Harry Wilson did not score this week. If you had him in your FPL team, I know that you're probably very upset. Um, So anything y'all wanted? I mean, they have it's not really much in this game. They won by a penalty, right?
Yeah.
So does anybody want to say anything um about anybody from this game? I guess you could probably give it to somebody like Joe Rodan or something.
I feel like the only thing people have to
Yeah,
highlight is the defense.
yeah. 'Cause I mean, it was not it was not great. So yeah. As I said, like this weekend was so boring. Like there were so many games that didn't have anything, worth watching.
Yeah.
Have we done all the games? No.
Yeah,
Wolves versus Newcastle. Newcastle draw again. No goals. Wolves continue to add points to their total. They are now on 8 points after being on 2 points for what seems like a lifetime and an eternity. They are slowly not moving up the table, but they're getting more points as the weeks go by. Um, there is one player I did want to take out from this game. It was actually Mascara. I thought Mascara from Wolves was actually really good, and I don't want to give it to any Newcastle players because I thought they were absolutely atrocious. Anything I want to say?
yeah, Muscara.
No, I really no.
Anthony Gordon has not scored a goal for I think a year. That Premier League
He,
goal for a year. I think that is,
I mean,
Like,
yeah,
and as he said, that is cracked. I call that the curse of pundit. By the way, I don't know if you all remember. John had Anthony Gordon as one of his breakout players. I think like 2 years ago, and ever since then it's been
the man has been.
downhill from him, right? Is there anything else? I think that's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, and then we have Mascara from there. Okay, so that's it for the Prem. I know we really wanted to go into something quickly. Dickie, could give us 5 minutes. Okay, cool. So I'll ask you quickly. Just give me your thoughts on everything that's happened at Real Madrid, like in the past few days, with everything that's happened with Alonso. Everything that we've seen coming out from the players, as well as I don't know if you know, but they got booed. The players were booed at the game today.
yeah.
And I think that was very telling. That the fans didn't think that it was Xabi Alonso. They think that it was more the players. So just give me a quick thing on that before we move on.
Yeah, I think that's an absolute mess. The fact that Perez could be like where it started, the fact that Perez could tell his manager, hey, don't not sort of player that I don't think was doing well in a game. Don't do that ever again. Like, how can you tell a manager not to make a tactical decision? That is absolutely unheard of. So the fact that the players could have that amount of cash in the club to where they can't even sub them off now, not even talk to them. They can't even sub them off the pitch when you think they're playing bad as a manager. No? It was only inevitable that they would have parted ways, whether it be Chabi being fired because he's going to be defiant, or he was going to walk away because you can't work in circumstances like that.
Virg, anything you want to say quickly on Xabi Alonso?
Yeah, I feel like they made it as difficult as possible as they could for Xavi. They really tried their best to kind of basic. It's like it's kind of strong arm him and basically let him kind of conform to like how they want him to manage. So yeah, I feel like it's a very crazy scene.
Yeah, boy. I still can't believe that all this has happened. He had such a high win rate as well. Going into Real as well, and I just feel like that's really been a story that's been dominating like everything, like how he's left, and people are looking at all these players and like Vinicius and Mbappe, all these players trying to figure out like why do you have so much power at the club and stuff like that. But I mean, it's Real Madrid, right? Um, that's I guess I don't know if that comes with the territory, maybe not. I even said that they'd never have time for a transition season. So I mean, I guess all that's part of it, right? Um, Speaking of Real Madrid, Nikhil, I'm not gonna keep it any longer. I promise you. We're gonna go through quickly the UCL this week, as this is the second to last round of games before the group stage ends. If you all don't know, we have an elongated Champions League season. So okay, so we're gonna start. Nikhil, start with you. We we have Kairat versus Club Brugge on Tuesday, the first game. Give me a prediction for that. I should also ask you the name of one player in that match.
I don't know. Let's go pretty upset. 1-0 Kyrat or
Ball
whatever.
Kairat, I like that. Virg, let me hear it.
That's a win for Bruges.
A win for Bruges. I'm gonna go for a draw with Kairat. So we have three different results. All right, next game we have Bodo Glimt playing Manchester City. So Virg, you give me first.
I feel like it'll be a comfortable City win. Bernardo Silva is suspended for the game, so Pep has to
Oh,
use
is
his
he?
brain and try and not use his favorite son.
I know, I agree. Nikhil?
City win, surely.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna go for a City win, despite my better judgment, but I feel I'm gonna go for. We have Villarreal versus Ajax next. I will start off. I think it's going to be a win for Villarreal. I'll give them a 3-1 win. Virg?
Yeah, 'cause I honestly feel I feel like we have Villarreal. Villarreal kind of slept on the season. I feel like they might get a comfortable win in this.
Kill?
I think Ajax is going to get a result. I think they're going to draw.
Okay. You know, they lost 6-0 recently, right?
That's okay.
I actually
Um,
it's football heritage.
True. No, you're right. You're right. Speaking of heritage, the history of the Tottenham versus Dortmund, um, on Tuesday as well. Dikil, start off with that one.
Oh my gosh. Let's say Dortmund. I say 2-0.
Dortmund, Virg,
I honestly feel it might be a draw.
a draw. I'm gonna go for Dortmund. I can't see. I feel that might be the nail in the coffin for Frank. Sorry to say, I love the man to death. I think he did a great job at Brentford, but I feel this one might be the nail in the coffin. And if it isn't, they'll have to do something really good to beat Dortmund, right? Okay, cool. Olympiacos versus Leverkusen. I'm going to go with a draw for this one. I don't feel like either of them have it enough. It's very difficult to go to Olympiacos anyway. So
Yeah,
I'll go
that's
for a
true.
draw. Virg, give me yours one.
Yeah, I'd go for a draw as well.
Draw. Tequila?
I feel like Leverkusen will win.
Ooh, spicy. Then we have an interesting tie. Sporting versus PSG. Give me one there, Virg.
Nah, that's PSG.
PSG.
win.
Tequila?
It's just going to pop them in.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna give it to PSG as well. Also on Thursday, a huge game, Inter versus Arsenal. Two defenses, two, suspect attacks on their day. Which means I'm going to go for a 0-0 draw. Tequila.
Yeah. I think Arsenal are going to win. They're going to be off a corner or something.
Yeah, I'm going
Virg,
similar.
this is your hater derby. Inter Milan and Arsenal.
Exactly. So I was going to say, I feel like I'm going similar with you, but I'll do a 1-1. It'll just be a
1-1.
game I wouldn't care to watch.
Then we have one of the Mbappe derbies, Real Madrid versus Monaco. I'm going to go for a Real Madrid win, and I'm going to go with Mbappe scoring 2 as well. Tequila, give me one there.
Yeah, I'm just going to be them.
Virg?
I can see a draw in this game. I can see a draw.
Ooh. Nice. Cool. That's true. Like I totally ignoring the fact that they are in turmoil.
Yeah, and that Monaco attack
Ooh,
is.
I'm going to change my idea. I'm going to go for a draw. That's what the game up here was called. That's what I'm going to go for a draw. You're still going for a win, Tequila? Based on everything?
Yeah.
Abaloa in.
I wouldn't say that much, but
Copenhagen versus Napoli. Virg?
That's what I could see. I could see a solid draw with Napoli.
Solid draw.
Yeah.
Tequila?
I'm going to draw as well.
Ooh, I'm going for Napoli. I think Scott McTominay. I feel like he have it for that one. All right, so that's all the games on Tuesday. So quickly go for Wednesday. This is probably one of the worst football matches you're ever going to see in life. Galatasaray versus Atletico Madrid.
Ooh,
And I am going to go for a 1-1 draw. Tequila.
Yeah, draw. A nasty draw though.
yeah, that's gonna be a draw. I can't.
They're playing in Galatasaray as well.
I
Yeah?
cannot see this anyway.
Qarabag versus Frankfurt. Tequila started
But
off.
well, before that game, I say I'll draw, but one of them Rockets is going to shoot up inside the stadium.
Qarabag versus.
Yeah, this is at Carabag, so
Yeah, in Qarabag, yeah.
I feel Carabag winning. No? Honestly,
Ooh,
I feel
against
Carabag
Frankfurt.
win.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Tequila, what you said?
Frankfurt going to win. I can't
Okay,
see.
Frankfurt.
Yeah.
Frankfurt sitting on 4 points in that table.
Well, what Qarabag sitting on?
7.
True.
Yeah.
They could equalize it. I've been supporting Qarabag for the majority of the season, so I'll probably give them a little bit of thing here. So I'll say Qarabag. Just for the fun of it, right? Marseille versus Liverpool. This is actually a very big game, I think.
Oh yeah.
I think this will be a lot harder than people think. I'm going to go because the fact that De Zerbi has played Liverpool many times, I'm not sure who's gonna play in the game though, but I'm gonna go for a draw, and I'm not sure if that's a good idea. I'm gonna go for a draw. Virg, give me a prediction.
I going for a massive win.
I'm gonna say win. Dekil, you know you love
2
a
1,
Liverpool.
2-1 Greenwood double.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Newcastle versus PSV. This is actually a very interesting game.
Ooh, yeah.
Newcastle, for some reason, they always get hyped up in the Champions League, so I'm gonna give it to Newcastle.
Yeah, I feel like Newcastle picking up.
Dekil?
Agreed, Newcastle win.
So, Slavia Prague versus Barcelona. I'm gonna give it to Barcelona. They have all the players back. I think that's an
Yeah,
easy one.
yeah, that's a Barca win.
Rashford
Barca
to score the kill. I know you like that.
win.
Juventus versus Benfica. European heritage game, basically. I'm going to give it a draw. Actually,
Jose is going to
Yeah,
win.
say that again, Dekil.
Jose Mourinho is going to win.
Oh my God, I actually forgot
yeah,
about that. Oh my God, never mind. I'm going with Benfica. I completely forgot about that. Oh my goodness.
yeah.
No, I'm going with Benfica. I'm going with Benfica.
That's my same reason for wanting to lean towards
Okay,
a
yeah,
win.
yeah. I
I think
completely forgot about that.
Mourinho.
Oh my goodness. Right, Benfica triple. Wow. Chelsea versus Paphos. Not an AI generated team.
Hmm.
Chelsea.
Virgin,
Chelsea.
anything for Chelsea?
Yeah, Chelsea.
Um,
Chelsea win. Louise back.
Bayern versus. Sorry, go ahead, go ahead.
Now just saying, yeah, Louise back at the bridge.
Yeah, that's actually the big return. If anybody didn't know, David Luiz returned to play against Chelsea, so that's a big one. Last two games, Bayern versus Union Saint Gilloise. Anybody giving anybody a chance besides Bayern?
Bayern win.
Yeah, that's
Bayern.
Bayern.
And as the last game here, a very interesting tie: Atalanta versus Athletic Bilbao.
Ooh,
Hmm.
I'm not
Yeah.
going to Bilbao.
I am
Look,
going Atalanta.
Lookman should be back.
He
So,
should
but
be
yeah,
back. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Atalanta.
All right, cool. I think that's all the games there. Yeah, I think if there's anything anybody else want to say before we wrap up, I think that's everything for this. Anything you want to say before you go? Before we sign off?
Nah. It just really keep eye on the transfer window. I feel like an interesting one.
Yeah, that's true. Nikhil, anything?
Carrick at the wheel. No, I just had it.
All
I mean,
right.
I guess.
Thank you all very much for staying with us. We know it's been a little long this week, longer than we probably anticipated. But again, very boring week. So we're trying to make it a little bit exciting for you all. Trying to give you all this analysis and stuff. Please make sure to check us out on all our social media, all our YouTube channels, all the Spotify listens. Try and get everything up in there. And until next week, guys, stay safe, enjoy your week, and we will see you all very soon. See ya.
Really.